Today we're going to be taking a look at some of these SEGA Saturn replacement cases that I picked up on Amazon. Links in the description if you'd like to grab some for yourself. I just need to put these to use, and I figured I'd take you guys along for the ride and go ahead and kind of show you how it works. Typically, you can get all of the replacement covers that you need from thecoverproject.net. Unfortunately, thecoverproject.net does not have what we're looking for today, because if I just pick out one of these at random, you'll see that what they have for you are DVD case standards for these guys. One of the other options sometimes is to go through the forums of the Cover Project, which has a lot of the raw scans. And in doing some searches through the forums, I actually found this site called Radigator.com. And you can find that they actually have a lot of manual scans and box scans here for a variety of systems, and their selection on the SEGA Saturn is actually really incredible. And the reason you want manual scans in particular is because that's what was actually the cover of SEGA Saturn Games. So just download the front, and you can also snag the back cover as well. So I've downloaded quite a handful of images to print off, so I'll go ahead and just start printing those off. So what I'm using here today is the Canon G3260. It is a inkwell printer, which is very important if you don't like spending way too much money on ink cartridges. When they run out of ink, you just fill them up with more just liquid ink. It's super cheap, and it's the right way to go. Also, this one has the added benefit of having a user replaceable sponge in the back that helps absorb all the overspray, and when that is full on other typical printers, it's no longer usable. This printer should be a forever printer. I'll have a link to this printer down below if you're interested. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and start printing out some stuff onto some of this paper that I have. It is the Pen Gear Photo Glossy paper, which is super important because this was available at Goodwill for $5. So obviously you can get whatever works for you, but I'm gonna go ahead and load this into the printer and we'll start printing some stuff. And here's some stuff. I got Nights into Dreams here, not a particularly expensive cover, but it printed out pretty darn nicely. Got the measurements from a real one, and I think it's gonna work really well. Now, when it comes to cutting out these covers, I really prefer to use an guillotine style cutter as opposed to like scissors or other styles of cutters. I like this kind specifically because of the straight edges and really clean edges that it provides. I've went ahead and modified this one also to remove one of the guards that kind of would block some of your view right now because of a secondary feature that's really useful. And it just gives such a much prettier edge than you would see otherwise. But the work is not quite done here just yet. The other reason that I took off that guard is so that I can more easily gain access to this edge, which I align the top and bottom of the art, and then I just sort of press down with my thumb onto that hard edge that it provides, and it gives me a really great starting point for adding creases, which is really important for CD cases and SEGA Saturn cases where you need that 90-degree angle. You could do it by eye, but this just takes all of the guesswork out and gives you a really solid starting point. Then you can kind of, massage it back into place to where it will eventually need to be. What's really handy about these SEGA Saturn covers is that they actually were perforated along that edge, so you can follow that kind of dotted line that will be in a lot of these raw scans as a method to find out exactly where that needs to be. Takes out all of the guesswork and makes it really so much easier than it could be otherwise. Cutting out the back cover is honestly just more of the same, aligning with the top and the bottom and making sure that that art is aligned with the edge, cutting out decisively and quickly, and aligning that with that edge again, top and bottom. You can use the staples of the scan here to really align that better, and then finish off the fold as you normally would. So you might be wondering why it is that I have so many SEGA Saturn games that are in need of new cases. Here's a video from a long time ago where I actually came into a lot of loose SEGA Saturn CD CD-only games from a Goodwill when I was living in Seattle. Looking back at it now is surreal, because I called it then that I will never have a better video game find than I had that day. And that has held up, because I got so many games for $50 because Goodwill did not know what they had. They thought they were labeled as like CDs or DVDs. So that time I won. And now I have a whole bunch of games that I've just been sitting on that need new covers. And also, I got another game from a viewer, Dustman B, a long time ago, and I actually opened that up on my friend's channel, Wood from Beat 'em Ups. I opened that up over there, and it was finally time to finally put it in a case. Now, it is unfortunately a damaged game. It is unplayable, but it is so pretty that it deserves its own little case to enshrine it, and just to have and to be gazed upon, you know, and we'll do some little extra fun stuff along the way too. While cutting out the covers, it occurred to me that we don't have any foam to go inside of these, but I found some of this cheap YouTuber sound foam. It's really cheap stuff that really doesn't do anything, and well, you know what they say about stuff, you know, reduce, reuse, recycle. So I'm gonna try and reuse some of this really ineffective sound dampening foam. Seems about the right size of what might be able to fit into a Saturn case. I mean, it's a little thick, but it seems like maybe it'll be squishy enough that I'll be able to close the case and hold the disc in really tight, because that's something that a lot of these SEGA Saturn games initially came with, was a piece of foam to hold the disc in and keep it from falling out and rattling around inside. But, well, we'll see how this goes. The big thing that I really wanted to get accomplished today is putting together a case for this copy of Albert Odyssey. May it rest in peace. As you can see, the spindle area there is just completely cracked. Sadly, there's a very good chance that if you put this into a player and tried to spin it, it would have a higher chance of just exploding, in addition to not really being readable at the inner circles of the disc. So we're going to go ahead and start by disassembling the case and getting the insert out. Now here's the background art. It just slides right into place. And then I use my fingernail to really push it down into the corner to make sure that it is flush up against the inside. And sometimes it takes a couple times to really get it to stick in there, but once you've got it, it really does not move. God, that's so satisfying. And so is putting this front cover right in, just like it was a manual. Put this front right back on place, and I think that looks pretty good. Not too shabby, but I think there is one more thing I wanted to try out here. Let's see if that insert will work. Put that in here, go ahead and see if we can close the case. Well, shoot. Looks like it's a tad too thick. That could probably be shaved down, but as it is, it's causing the front to bow out a bit, and that just does not look good. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that then. And instead I have this egg carton kind of foam that I've been using for a while, and that works just fine. And here is the completed project, completed. And I have Albert Odyssey and several other game cases fully fleshed out and looking real good, looking real clean. And for a fraction of what it would cost to get the real thing. So all in all, I feel like today's experimentation was a bit of a success. I have links to everything I used down in the description down below, and I think that it came out really great. It feels awesome to finally have this in a proper case. Thank you again, Dustman B, from, gosh, like 8 years ago or something. Incredible. Again, the game won't play. You put it into a system and it's going to start to spin. It's just going to shatter. But at least I have this piece that I can look at and have on a shelf, and to actually have, even though it's not playable. There are other ways to play the game, but there's only one way to have the game. Or is there? This is another game that I decided to go ahead and make a case for, a cover and everything, and honestly, I think it came out rather well. Now obviously there are some signs that it's not real, right? Just like with this one with the Albert Odyssey, right? These games typically have a lot of foil in them, right? Like the Sega Saturn logo is usually shiny silver. Same with this one. There's foil leaf. The Panzer Dragoon Saga, I think, is also supposed to be shiny and stuff, but obviously it's not. I just wanted to kind of help show this method to help you cheaply get your games looking as good as they possibly can. I just wanted to make this one, not because I actually have the game or anything, I definitely don't, but because it's the closest thing that I'm ever going to get to actually having Panzer Dragoon Saga. So, at least I can have it on my shelf, looking nice, maybe an aspiration someday when I hit 1 million subscribers on YouTube or something, I'll be able to afford one copy. But until then, this is alright. It's just a nice little novelty. A lot of these other games that I made cases for are going to be going down into the 90s room, which is where I have a lot of my non-RPG video game collection and play those with friends on a CRT and stuff. But as far as now you should know what to look out for, definitely, obviously, don't print these out and sell them as being real. That's just a crappy thing to do. Between spending, $1,000 on a case or just making one that'll get you 90% of the way there for, $10, it's no contest. The real point of all of this is to let you know that you can do this yourself and to let you know that other people can do this probably way better than even I can, and will be probably selling them on eBay. Just keep your eyes peeled for, actual counterfeits that are trying to be sold as the real deal. It's possible to do this yourself, and it's possible for other people to do it too, so be careful where you spend your money. I'd probably advise you to buy local, honestly, so you can actually inspect them. But anyways, that does it for today's episode. Very quick, but I just needed to get this stuff done and thought I'd take you along for the ride. Have a good rest of your day, everybody.